You're locked into Elevated Radio FM. Radio FM. Radio.
Alrighty, and we are back. This is Elevated Radio, and I am on the phone with Wendy Olenek. She is from Palm Harbor, Florida, and she is a yoga and Pilates instructor. Wendy, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you.
Now, please, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is it that you do, Wendy?
Well, I own and operate a yoga and Pilates studio in Dunedin, Florida, which is really right next to Palm Harbor, Clearwater, Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, now tell me, what is your background? How did you get started in this world of fitness here?
My background is dancing. I had gone to the University of South Florida and began in theater and dance and proceeded to pretty much put myself through school teaching fitness classes just in the area, and really began teaching different types of yoga classes at the time when I got interested in yoga, and took a huge turn, danced professionally with a Vegas-style review show, and then by the time I finished with that show, opened up a dance studio, then started doing yoga and Pilates in different locations throughout the Tampa Bay area. And then in 2005, opened up my own studio. And from there, I've just pretty much done yoga.
Fantastic, yeah. Now, are you on the more spiritual side of things, on the physical side? Because I understand yoga is pretty broad, and you can take it as you like.
It is, and it really begins with most of the people, anyway, really starting the fitness side of it. That's kind of how it even came over to America. A lot of them brought it in, and it kind of appeared in the gyms first. Some people might have found a little yoga studio, but yoga studios really didn't exist much at all. It was really some of the big names that went into the gyms and started teaching a couple of classes there that got the people interested. And they got interested because of the fitness. And that's kind of how I explain it to people that are wanting to become yoga instructors. As they visualize it as a big piece of ice. An ice carver doesn't start with the little tools to start carving out the eyes and the ears. They start with a big sledgehammer, and they start creating the outsides. And that's kind of the way you look at it with yoga, is you learn the poses and you understand the benefits of just doing the poses. And then the more you understand that, then you're finally ready to go into the spiritual side. But not very many people start in the spiritual side unless that has been their background from either friends or family. Most of the time people start in the physical side, and that's how we get them first. And then the more they understand, then I think you can't help but to fall into the spiritual side.
Yeah. Now, what about your clients? Why are they coming in? Do they just they want to lose a little weight, get that summer body, or are they maintaining? You tell me.
Good question. That's a little bit of everything. Everybody that pretty much walks through the door starts with, I've got tons of stress. My doctor says I have to do yoga. Doctors mostly think about yoga as just being a nice, relaxing way to reduce your stress. Healing after injury and after surgery, things like that. But they soon find out that it's probably more than going into a gym. We call it inner size instead of exercise, because when you start from the inside out, you don't hurt yourself, but yet you can get stronger than sitting there lifting weights all day long. Not that we don't do strength training in here. We do strength training, but it's not about how big can we get. It's about making sure we don't get hurt. And you have to strengthen your body. You have to. You have to keep your bones strong. You have to keep your muscles flexible. And you also have to keep your mind clear of stress. Otherwise, you're just going to get sick. The old saying is, if you're in dis-ease, your body is hurting, and your body becomes disease. That's where the word disease came from, dis-ease. So.
Yeah, most certainly. Now, what do I look for in a yoga or a Pilates instructor? Lots and lots of people out here that call themselves that, but how am I going to know for sure that I'm with someone that's good and that I'm getting the experience I pay for?
Good question. If you go into a yoga studio, and if you're even if you can watch it, if you can't watch it, when you start taking it, the teacher is standing on their own mat and cueing from their mat and never looking at you, quietly roll up your mat and leave, because that's not a class. A teacher has to walk around and watch you. Some places aren't allowed to touch. A lot of gyms don't allow you to adjust or assist. Most yoga studios do, to help you understand where your arms are supposed to be, where your legs are supposed to be. They can also just do verbal cueing, but they have to be able to watch their students. And some fitness classes, yes, they kind of watch, but they're basically being followed. A yoga studio, a good, safe yoga studio, the teacher walks around. They cue off their mat. They might demonstrate on their mat, but they are definitely not on their mat the whole time. And that's number one with yoga. With Pilates, you usually can always tell a good Pilates class because, the music's not blaring loud. You can hear the instructor. She's very clear. You don't even have to watch her. You understand the cues. It doesn't hurt. Sometimes with Pilates, when people first start, you don't even think you're doing anything until the next day. And then you realize you did more than you've ever done in your life. So Pilates strengthens your core and really helps prevent injuries and get you stronger for everything else. And the combination of yoga and Pilates will change people's lives as they get older, especially. Your exercise has to change as you get older, whether people want to believe that or not. It has to change. And that's kind of where you end up. But you can usually tell because you don't get hurt. You feel good when you come into the atmosphere. People greet you. The teachers greet you. They ask you about your injuries. They ask you about your background. If somebody doesn't even know your name and hasn't even said anything to you, especially the instructor, I kind of worry that how do they know? They're just trusting that the student knows. So I don't know.
Right.
I've always wondered how people can run a class and not know who's in their class, no matter how big it is. People go, well, my classes are too big, and I'm like, no.
That's a red
then
flag.
you get other
teachers.
Yeah.
Now,
you get other people to help you walk around.
Now, we are just about out of time here, Wendy, but before we do take a short break, is there any way for our listeners to learn more about your studio or even reach out to work with you directly?
Yeah, that would be great. I have a website, wendyfit.com, wendyfit.com. And I also do yoga retreats, and all of that information is on the website. We've been doing those for about 12 years now. But other than that, phone number's on there, the address is on there. But if they want to reach out and even ask questions, that's fine too. I love questions, no matter even if they're in my city or not. So.
All right, very good. wendyfit.com. And, of course, Wendy, thanks for joining us today. Great to hear from you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And thank you for listening. This is Elevated Radio. We're going to take another break right now. It'll be short, though. More interviews coming up next.
You're locked into Elevated Radio FM. Radio FM. Radio